Hey there, Carlos Garza here, composer for Breathe. You're probably wondering how I approach scoring this film. Well, I started the way I normally do, which is to start near the end. I take perhaps the hardest scene or the biggest dramatic scene and write some music for that to get some ideas, bounce that off the producer and director. And I did that here. Once I had approval and I liked what I had done, I moved to the beginning of the film and started incorporating some of those melodies to create motifs for the characters and for the emotions that you see. I started with the painter, gave her kind of a pattern involving piano and harp, an interweaving pattern that simulates or gives you the idea of motion, and that ties into her character, who's sort of got a motivational aspect that works in the film. The other character, the lead female character, is grieving, but she's also got this anxiety that's lingering. Rather than play up on the sadness, I was asked to kind of look at sort of the anxiety element, the tension. And so I created a motif that was based on low flutes, like a bass flute sound, and some other low, breathy instrument sounds that would kind of ebb and flow and give you a feeling of tension in your gut when you see her dealing with the question that's on her mind. That music, that motif with the low, breathy anxiety elements also worked for the male character in the film. It works in a different way when you see him. And by the end of the film, those two different interpretations come together. And there really isn't a split, as we learn. So it's part of what we learn in the film. The other motif that is of interest is a kind of a questioning motif. So the flip side of the anxiety is, okay, you're asking yourself a question, do I want to go forward? There's a point of resolution, something that you need to do, and you need to take some steps to do that. So with both characters, both of the two lead characters, that question came up about, are they ready to go to the next step of what they need to do to resolve the grief? And so that carries on through the film and appears in different ways and different times. By the time I got to the end of the film, that last climactic scene that I first scored, I realized that I wanted to do something a little bit different. My original approach was to play on the drama of that scene, and it was really not necessary. The acting is superb, and what I decided to do instead was create more of a comforting feeling, to wait it out, let the acting really carry it, which it does beautifully, and then come in at the right moment when there's a need for more in the audience, a need for comfort, and to building to the last beautiful shot. So I rescored it. I really kept the DNA, but technically I threw out the original piece that I started the whole thing with. And it moves into the final credits from there, and you hear some of the familiar music that you've heard in the film, and it comes back to the motif that you've heard for the painter, this kind of motivational motif. And it ends on that. What I changed was I made it a major chord, so to connote the idea of healing and comfort, relative comfort, at having gone past a moment of grieving and moving on. From there, I used the major chord for that. It's obvious enough. People that have heard the music will hear that and recognize that. But what I did differently was I also removed one of the notes. So instead of it being a 4-note pattern, there's only 3 notes. I don't know if anyone will hear this in the screenings, because it's hard to tell if people are going to be clapping or whatever. But there's 3 notes, and if you're listening, you might think you're anticipating another note, and it's just a little thing, but it really, to me, represents the idea of loss, and that even if you get through grieving, there's still some loss, and maybe we're not complete, but we can learn to heal and move on. And I think that's the overall message of the film, and I hope that I enhance those themes in the film through the music that I wrote, by tying the characters together and bringing them all to the final conclusion, which is a comforting place. And so hopefully it'll work for people, as I've seen in the screenings, where people will come out of it with feeling positive about the experience. So I hope you enjoy the movie. I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed composing for it. And that's all. This is Carlos Garza signing off, so see you at the movies.